one of the persistent issues, I think, in ethics, in responsibility, is, okay, so who's responsible? The person or the system? And what about the person? I mean, this goes back to, the great thinkers, Aristotle, Mencius, and others. And a lot of people in ethics like to focus on the individual. There's another tradition, which to me is more sociological or Marxist or something, which focuses on institutions, reward structures, who's recruited, things like that, and the sort of the value set of the institution. But do institutions have value sets, or do the people who have power in institutions have value sets? You take something like the killings, I don't even know what you want to call them, in New Zealand, in Christchurch, where one person, one individual who's got in his head some set of ideas and values, goes, takes guns, and kills 50 people. Why? Because he's come to some conclusion that they deserve to die. To me, on one level, that's a value problem at the level of the individual. Now, we can back off and we can talk about regimes such as we have here in America, and they have in New Zealand, in fact, in many countries in the world, where you can buy guns. So then the issue sort of turns to, what about guns? Should we take guns away or not? But I would then take it back to values, because a gun, like a law, like a pen, like any instrument, is put to use by somebody with an intent. So I could have a gun and never use it. That's my intent. I could have a gun and shoot down innocent people. That's my intent. I can take a pen and I can write something very nice and flattering, and I can take a pen and write something really mean and nasty and send it to somebody and cause all kinds of suspicions on their part. And the action, my action, depends on my intent, which depends on my values, which depends on my beliefs, what I've been taught, how I perceive the world. And that's education, at the family level, at the school level, at the community level. And that brings us to things like social media and Facebook and politics. At the Co-Roundtable, I think our effort is to try to get to values through a set of principles which you can articulate, you can teach people about them, and then hopefully you can sort of make them more specific in factual decision-making situations. So people sort of ask, is this the right thing to do? Am I going to do the right thing? Or should I wait and reflect? In this particular case of the killings of Muslim believers in New Zealand, I do think part of the background is how non-Muslims perceive Muslims. Are they a threat? Are they all jihadists or Salafis? Or we have in America a lot of thinking like this, apparently young man in New Zealand, which is called by some Islamophobia, a phobia against Muslims based on what? Based on perceptions. It becomes a value. Now, how would we go about changing that? We at the Co-Roundtable, and I mentioned this, I think, briefly in another video, had a very interesting session in Rome in January, looking over some covenants of the Prophet Muhammad, where he instructs his followers to behave as he did and would do and did do, with respect and protection for Christian churches and Christian communities. That's not the perception many of these Christians have of Islam. So how do we educate them about this aspect of the Sunnah, the way of the Prophet Muhammad? And who's going to do this? Are the Muslims going to help us with this? Is this going to be for Christian leaders? Will Protestants and Catholics work together, and with Eastern Orthodox as well? So we have an opportunity to shape the thinking about Muslims in ways which would turn away from violence. And I personally just hope that that's something we will do better in the future.